Hello, everyone, and welcome along to the Sports Corner Live. We are back once again. We've literally gone for about 10 or 15 minutes, but we are back for some more Europa League action. And I'm not going to lie, I can hear somebody's thing echoing in the background. I don't know whose it is. There we go. I think it's gone now. But we're back once again for the Europa League live action on the channel. We've got the draw, as you said, we were there a few minutes ago for the draw for the Champions League, where we saw some of the stuff going on in the Champions League with the draw. I don't know where's it coming from, Kieran.
Kieran's panicking. Look,
he doesn't know what to do.
I like how as soon as Josh was like, "There's an echo," we all muted to see who panic.
I don't know where it's coming through. But either way, we've got the Europa League draw coming up. Quarterfinals, semi-finals, once again, like we had for the Champions League. If you missed the Champions League one earlier, then there were some thrilling ties to come. It includes the likes of Bayern Munich, PSG, Real Madrid, Liverpool, to name a few. But if you want to check them, do check them out on thesports-corner.com. We'll have an article up in a little moment for that. But, I guess Kieran's vanished for now. Hopefully he gets back soon. We've got Kieran and we've got Rowan in the building once again to talk about the Europa League. And now, boys, this is the competition that you guys have been waiting for. Manchester United, of course, in there. And more importantly for Rowan, Slavia Prague in there as well. First of all, the draw will take place in around 10 to 15 minutes' time. We'll go through all the teams once again. But first of all, I think we should start. It's not as bad now. I think you're all good, Kieran. KD, let's start off with you. Manchester United, of course, the big match of the last round, AC Milan. Really good tie in the end in terms of United getting through, maybe not for goals-wise. Can you see Man United winning this competition?
Do you know what? I think a few rounds ago, if you'd have asked me this question, I said no. But now we've got past Sociedad, big test. AC Milan got past them as well, which is also a big test. Next round, I'm certain we'll probably end up drawing one of the big boys, and we'll have to get past them as well. But do you know what? I think the last two games have shown a lot of character for Manchester United, and if we can get past Leicester, get to another semi-final of an FA Cup, be in the semi-finals of the Europa League, finish second in the league, I think it's quite a successful season for Man United. I think they've got the tools and the equipment to go all the way, and with the people we've got coming back from injury, you saw it yesterday, the effect that Paul Pogba had on the Man United team when he came on. They were just a different team, and yeah, I think we can go all the way and win it.
Absolutely, going to be interesting to see how Man United do, and of course who they get later on. Rowan, Slavia Prague. Who'd have thought? Sat in the quarterfinal draw. They are going to be in the balls for the final. Let's not forget. So we'll see their path, of course, to how they could get there if they get through. But most importantly, first of all, let's talk about last night. Big win against Rangers. Rangers down to 9 men. Of course, 2 red cards, a few goals on the board. Good win for Slavia.
Yeah, obviously he's been shrouded what things was possibly said, but we don't want to take that away. But if you look at your pure on the pitch action, Slavia's game, they did exactly what they said. As I said in the stream, Tripowski and Mazepin said we will sit back. They told Rangers the game plan. They did the game plan and they beat them. It was simple as that. It was a lovely headed by Olinka to give them the lead. And then I think the first the Roof red card was awful. I think Kolar's head was just absolutely meshed up. And I think that really slowed Rangers' roll. But I think Rangers should have gone for it there. You had an 18-year-old goalkeeper who had only played third league games. So, I think it's the Dominiska Liga, the third, whatever it is. It's low division games. He's only played, I think, 16 or something. They haven't played many. And they just didn't make the most. I know they were down to 10 men and all, but if in that situation you go for it, you test this young goalkeeper, then it's just Balogun loses his head. Lovely free kick by Stanchu, and they're through.
They are indeed. Of course, I think there's one tie, which we'll talk about the ties that we'd like to see in a little bit on the board. But Kieran, you saw Mould sadly go out last night. We had the 60 seconds of excitement where we thought maybe Mould had got a chance to go through. But in terms of the teams left in this competition, I know, of course, there's not necessarily a team there which you'll be backing as much as you did with Mould. But who could maybe surprise the rest of the pack, the likes of United and Arsenal, that are expected to go far?
Just let me know if the echo's bad, by the way. If it is, then... well, for me, the one in terms of surprises, I think I'm surprised Roma have got this far, not because of the pedigree of the team, just more the fact that they were the under-the-radar Italian side that were left. We put a lot of impetus on Milan and Napoli, and Roma have slowly gone around their business. So if they get a big draw in the next round, I wouldn't be surprised if Roma can topple one of the likes of Arsenal, United. But I do think they're one of the bigger teams in the tournament. But in terms of pure heart and spirit, I can't look past Zagreb last night, to be honest with you. Most teams in that position would feel down and out. Yes, Mislav Orsic had to grab them by the scruff of the neck and drag them through. But when you've got a player of that quality, you can always have a chance in a game. And for that, I'm going to say Roma are my dark horses. But in terms of a surprise, maybe Zagreb, why not?
Why not? I think it's a pretty good shout on the table. We'll go through each of the teams. As I said, the draw takes place in about 10 minutes' time. So we've got a really good chance to talk through each side in this competition, what we've seen of them so far, who we think they're going to get, vice versa. So let's start off with the first team on the bottom of your screen. Arsenal, of course, coming through yesterday to Olympiacos, not in the most convincing fashion in the world. It was quite disappointing, actually, if you're an Arsenal fan, to the result that they got. But let's be real, they're through to the next round now. That's all that matters. And they will still be up there as one of the favourites to win the competition, regardless of the fact that they're not necessarily on good form this season. Kieran, I'm going to go KD for this one. Arsenal, they've had some pretty okay games, I think, in terms of the run of the competition so far, but they've made it quite hard for themselves. Can you see them going any further than the quarterfinals, depending on who they get?
Yeah, I think Arsenal are definitely up there as now favourites for this competition, especially with the likes of Spurs and Rangers crashing out in the last round. I think the English sides are probably looking at this tournament and thinking they've got a real chance to go on and win this now. But for Arsenal, I think they are one of the most inconsistent sides left in this tournament. We saw it yesterday. They lost a very easy tie. When the game is done and dusted, they had to make it harder for themselves, didn't they? And I don't know what happened to Aubameyang. Looks like he can't hit a barn door at the moment. In front of goal yesterday, he was absolutely abysmal. The defence looks shaky again. But I mean, we saw how good they were against Benfica and how good they were in the first leg of this tie. So I mean, like I said, they are one of the most inconsistent sides left. But I would expect them to see them in the semi-finals in the next round.
Yeah, you would do. I mean, it all depends, of course, on who they get. But when you look at some of the teams left, we were saying yesterday, there's a very split line between teams that are expected to probably go on and win this and teams that are now left at this stage of the competition thinking we might have a chance to win this. We spoke about Dinamo Zagreb a moment ago. The Croatian Ronaldo, Mislav Orsic, doing what many couldn't do this week and get a hat-trick for his side to put them through to the next round. 3 brilliant goals. His third goal was exceptional, considering it was I think it was around about the 110th minute of extra time, and he pretty much danced through 3 or 4 Spurs players like they weren't there. But Zagreb, Kieran L, you spoke about them a moment ago. Of course, it all depends on who they get here, because if they come up against an Arsenal or Man United, it's going to be tough. But that win against Tottenham will give that team some spirit, especially when their manager beat Mourinho from prison.
Yeah, exactly. And I was saying to these lads last night, that assistant manager better be next in line for the job if he is to go. Because I tell you what, to pull off a result like that, and as you say, Josh, it gives that sort of team, a fearlessness. And you need to give credit to the likes of them teams that got out there. And they could have easily laid down and let Tottenham beat them last night because they did look dead and buried. But when you have a player of Orsic's quality, he can lift everybody around him, not just, raise the performance of himself. There's some good players in that team, and it surprised me, that Tottenham team is filled with attacking talent, but defensively last night they were very solid as well and kind of snuffed any opportunities Tottenham had. In the next round, does the draw need to fall in their favour? Maybe. But when you're riding high off a win like that, at the moment, they'll have kind of a never say die attitude towards the next round. And, maybe even a bring them on attitude, Josh, because you have to get to the final by beating the best. There's no doubt about it. So if they've knocked out one of the big boys, why not another one? And there's a few smaller teams that are left that can think that. Granada knocked out Napoli. Slavia knocked out Leicester and Rangers. It makes for a very interesting quarter-final.
Definitely does indeed. And I'll ask you again in a second about Granada, because obviously you watched them yesterday. But Mason's put my favourite to wins. He thinks Man United first, Roma second, Ajax in third, Villarreal fourth, Arsenal fifth, Zagreb sixth, Slavia Prague 7th, don't look at that, Rowan, and 8th for Granada as the lowest team expected to win. But Chris is in the chat. Oh, you're good, buddy. Again, he's put, as much as we laughed at Arsenal, Man United haven't beaten them this season, and Man U are second in the league. But he has put up the Slavia Prague and Zagreb. So we know everybody's backing Slavia Prague. But one team to back, first time Europa League side ever in the competition, Granada making it through to the quarterfinals of the competition. You've watched them, of course, Kieran, against Mould. These are no pushovers, Granada.
No, they're not, to be honest with you. In terms of the performance over the 2 legs, did they blow me away? No, they didn't. But they deserve to be here. Because I tell you what, to do what they're doing with that team at the moment, especially in the first leg, where they didn't have their whole squad, there's definitely some talent in there. And they also have a crap ton of experience which can manage games as well, which is important through the likes of Gonalons. And the two that surprised me, I've got to admit, was Soldado and Molina. You think they're over the hill, but genuinely, when they're in front of goal, they're going to have to be clinical as this competition progresses because they're not going to they ain't got the talent to outplay teams. So they're going to, when they get their chances, they have to take them. And I think Granada has been best at that. I worry about the defensive frailties because in the league they're very bad at conceding goals. But in Europe so far, they haven't struggled so much. When the team steps up from Molde in the next round, do I think they can pull off a shock? I'm not so sure over the 2 legs I saw, but they are well worthy of their place in the quarterfinals.
Could be tricky indeed to see Granada go through, but you know what? First time in there to get to the quarterfinals is always a brilliant achievement, regardless of what they've done. Let's move on to the next side. Roma, of course, the only Italian side left in this competition. The first ever time Roma have made the Europa League quarterfinals, which I said was bonkers when you think about it. But because they're always in the Champions League, they've never really been in this competition to get to this stage. But Rowan, Roma, good side on paper, one of Italy's top teams. Do you think that, as what Kieran was saying earlier, underdogs in this competition, are they going to stick to that brand for the rest of it, do you think?
I definitely don't think they're underdogs. I think teams genuinely do appreciate them. But by all means, they're definitely favourites. I think they're one of their middle teams. But ground out a good win against Shakhtar. I think it was 5-1 in aggregate. Boy and morale game too. So not even relying on like an Edin Dzeko or something. It's not goals coming from anywhere else. They've got. I do like their team. I think you look at the team they put out against Shakhtar, it was a weak side, and yet they went and beat them. Convincingly, I say 2-1 is quite convincing. Like, I think they're ones who can just sneak. Like, you have your underdogs and you have your favourites. They're ones that you could go, oh, Roma in the semi-finals. And then you look at them like, oh, they've just picked up consistent wins. You haven't really noticed them, but can they? I think they could step up. When it comes to it, they've got the quality there. It's just, I'm worried that if they get a really tough test like United and Ajax, Villarreal, it'd be interesting to see how they do counteract that. Because I think Shakhtar wasn't the hardest of ties.
No, but fair play to him, knocking out the Ukrainian champions. Good result there. Villarreal next team. I watched them last night against Kiev. Not the most enthralling fixture in the world, but look, convincing performance. Slowly ploughing on this competition. And KD, you said, when we first looked at the tournament and we looked at the groups, you put Villarreal up there as one of the favourites to win the tournament. They've got a manager who has experience of winning this competition. They've got some big mentality players on their team. Are you still backing them to go all the way?
Do you know what? They've got the tools, and I think we had a speak about this yesterday when we were doing the watch along. They've just got so many experienced players all over the park that they, like I said, they've got the tools to go on and win this competition. They've got a manager that's won it countless amounts of times with Sevilla. Again, unfortunate with Arsenal, got to a final, but yeah, he has the ability to win this competition. With the players that they've got, they're on fire at the moment, and they're just such a well-oiled machine that they can go all the way.
Definitely could indeed. Of course, there is one certain fixture which we'll talk about a little bit later on that KL wants to see, and I think there'll be a lot of fans that do want to see that fixture, which we'll talk about in a moment. But let's talk about Ajax first. We'll leave the other two till last because, of course, Rowan and KD are big fans of them. Ajax, Kieran, you've watched them now pretty much twice, I think, in the competition so far. You watched them against...
Yeah, last 16 and round of 32 and last 16, yeah.
Yes, so you've seen them twice now. We talked about them yesterday and we said, look, this is a team that knows how to make the latter stages of the competition. They've been in the final before against Man United. Are they on course to maybe do it again?
Yes, I genuinely think so. I look at the team. And I think overall they've got a nice blend of youth, as always, with Ajax, and the experienced players in there. Like, I've got to admit, Devi Klaassen has impressed me tenfold since watching these couple of legs from midfield. When the way he makes runs from midfield into the box, he's always an option for the attackers. And for me, it does come down to the attackers. They have the fluid movement of Antony and Neres, matched by the precise nature of Dusan Tadic when the ball's at his feet. As I think someone said, the best number 10 in the world. I think someone called him a couple of streams back. He's brilliant, genuinely. When he's got his foot on the ball, he's an absolute talent. So I do think, in terms of a balanced team, that Ajax are one of the most well-balanced left in the tournament. Maybe there's too many young players in that defence that people might pick at in the later stages if they come up against slightly bigger opposition. But I fancy Ajax to do well, depending on who they get and how they progress.
Definitely so. Ajax looking very hot. I think going under the radar, maybe very slightly in comparison to some of the other teams. But let's move on to the other two teams, of course. We've got to talk about them before the draw does take place, which I think should be in the next 5 to 10 minutes or so. Friends Forever, he wants to see Dinamo Zagreb, Slavia Prague in the next round, please. Rowan, Slavia Prague, first of all. Probably never thought they were going to make it here, considering the Leicester and the Rangers draw. Very tricky ties on paper, but look, they're here and they're not here to mess about.
Exactly. I think when that Leicester draw was announced, you look at Twitter, everyone was backing Leicester. No one gave Slavia a chance. And after the first leg, I think people was like, yeah, that's fair enough. Second leg, they went to the King Power and they got the win. And they did all matter. Then everyone said, it's fine because Rangers will do it now. Leicester was a bit of a fluke. And then they did it against Rangers. Again, first leg was nothing. But the second leg they came out. I mean, Twitter is absolutely buzzing. It's not buzzing. Twitter is absolutely popping off just in terms of everything that went on in that game. There was a lot to talk about. Injuries, abuse, after the match. A lot going on. But on the pitch, they did what they do. They scored the goals that matter. I think Stanchu really is their best player. And as much as I love Peter Olienka, and as much as he scored the first goal, and it was a good goal, Nico Stanchu is the reason Slavia Prague are here. His free kick just showed how pivotal he is to this side. Without him, I genuinely think Hollesh just doesn't do what Stanchu does. I think Andre Linger doesn't do what Stanchu does. I think he's so... I'm worried because he does get injured. I think Slavia will not go through regardless. I just hope he stays fit. I think the manager will rest him. I think the league, they can still win the league without Stanchu, and been a couple of games this season when they haven't had him. And Seema has stepped up, or Kutka has stepped up and scored the goals. But yeah, they're a really good side. Underrated, I think, team starring. They might be without Kudela next game, obviously after Byron investigation, which I think will put him down because he is a defensive rock, but it'll be Zima and Delhi, and Delhi really stood out. So I think they're okay in defence. I think they're okay. It's just all about keeping Stanchu fit.
Absolutely, and scored, as you said, a brilliant free kick last night. Absolutely fantastic goal, even with Rangers down to nine men in that match. But Bernardo's just put, has the draw happened yet, or is the ceremonies about? Well, there seems to be a bit of delay. I don't know what's going on, but there's a bit of a delay to the actual draw itself. It should have started now, but they've not even got to the actual open section of the draw yet. So I would assume maybe in the next 5 or so minutes, they'll get that underway. They'll go through the draw procedures as they always do, and then we'll get cracking on with the draw. Because remember, it's not just the quarterfinals that are getting drawn today. It is the semi-final and the home and away team in the final, of course, as we saw with the Champions League about half an hour ago. But let's talk about the last team on the board. Manchester United, big win against AC Milan yesterday to go through to the next round. Should hopefully, in the next few weeks, have a few more players back fit again. What are you feeling, Kieran? Are they lifting the trophy this year?
I think we've got the best chance of any, to be fair. Like I said, big win. We've had a big week. We've had 2 massive 1-0 wins against West Ham and against AC Milan, of course. 2 professional performances, very well drilled defensively. And yeah, like you said, get players back from injury. I think that Rashford's not injured. I think he took him off as a precaution, which in hindsight, good decision. Brought Pogba on, he got the winning goal. To have Paul Pogba and Cavani back and the likes of Donny van der Beek for options and stuff, especially as we're coming into the latter end of the season where we're fighting for 2 trophies and a second place in the Premier League. It's key to have all those players back, and I think that, of course, it's disappointing that we're in the Europa League, putting it into retrospect. But I think we've had 2 very difficult draws in the last 2 rounds. Probably some of the hardest teams left in the competition we've had in the last 2 rounds in Sociedad and AC Milan. But we've done well to get past them, and of course now it's just a question of going all the way, because we should have won the competition last year, but ultimately we got beat by a very good Sevilla side that actually went on to win the tournament. So.
Yeah, they were very good, Sevilla, last season. And I think a lot of people will be expecting Man United to be up there as a potential candidate to go on and win this tournament. But as we said, while we're waiting for the whole kind of tournament to take place with the draw, I don't know what they're really doing with it right now, to be honest. I thought they would have had it started now. It was supposed to start at 12, but there seems to be a delay, and I don't know why. Let's talk about the actual games we'd like to see. So I'll start off with Rowan and KD. First of all, I want to ask you, in fact,
I think they're off, Josh.
Oh, they're off. Well, that's strange. We're actually going. They're doing it kind of like a watch-along type thing on there, but we're actually going. So we'll have to see what's going on right now, because we're underway, and the first team out is Granada. Apologies about that. BT should fucking sort themselves out. That's really frustrating. And that is Gael Clichy, I think. Yeah, it is. It's got
fresh trim. It's got a fresh trim as well.
That is amazing. So Granada first team out of the draw. Of course, Granada coming through yesterday against Mould, which is a very good result for them, considering Mould being part of the fairy tale story of the Champions League so far. And Granada will be coming up against Manchester United. So Old Trafford will not be hosting Granada until the second leg, but you must be happy with that, Kieran.
Come on. We're going to get beat by him. We're going to get beat by him now.
Hey, you never know. But Granada, going to be a very good game. That I think very astute performance you'd expect from a team like Granada. Very good organised side on the day at the back. Although, as you said, defensively stopping goals in La Liga.
I can't wait for Roberto Soldado to score at Old Trafford and do the shush to all the Man United players.
Next team out is Arsenal. So had it have only been one after, we could have had maybe Man U Arsenal. But Arsenal, of course, coming through against Olympiacos in their game yesterday, although they did lose the second leg. They came through in quite comfortable fashion, 3-1 in the first leg. And the next team out?
I think Roma.
Villarreal, I'm feeling. So Arsenal, we wanted Villarreal for a good evening derby with Unai Emery, and they are going to get Slavia Prague. So Arsenal v Slavia Prague. Rowan, are you feeling like there's a chance for Slavia to do it again?
Yeah, genuinely, another British team, another British. They're just going to knock them all out and get to the final. Where would United be the only one left? So if somehow we can get United in the semis, they just take out all the British teams to get to the final.
Next team out, AFC Ajax. Of course, Ajax been very good in the competition so far. Still left in there is Zagreb, Roma, Villarreal.
You know what,
so
though?
There's a few big teams.
Good chance for Zagreb, Ajax, Villarreal, Roma to get to a final.
I mean, this is quite a big draw. 4 very even sides, I think, with the rest of them left in. And AFC Ajax, they're going to play in the next round AS Roma. I mean, look, Kieran, that is a feisty tie in terms of 2 quality European sides.
Yeah, a team I've watched over the last 2 rounds and a team I'm really excited to see in the latter stages. That is, for me, one of the best ties of this round, definitely.
Which means left in the draw, Dinamo Zagreb and Villarreal. The home team for this game is going to be Dinamo Zagreb. So Dinamo Zagreb with the home advantage in the first leg of the match. They will be certainly up for that game. They'll be coming up against Unai Emery's side, Villarreal, who, look, at the end of the day, have probably had one of the better runs of the tournament in terms of being lucky of not picking up some of the big sides yet. But they will be coming up against Dinamo Zagreb. So we now move on to the semi-final draw, which means let's flick over there and we will go to the first semi-final in a second as they just draw out the
if those last 2 quarterfinals can avoid 1 and 2, then there's a massive chance for those last 4 in Zagreb, Villarreal, Roma, Ajax to get to a final. Because if Man United and Arsenal draw each other in the semis, I'm talking about the brackets, Rowan.
About to say the disrespect.
It's do you know what, at the end of the day, look, who knows? Maybe Zagreb could be in that semi-final bracket playing Man United, and they just have to stay in England for the entirety of the knockout stages of the Europa League. But we're going to get underway with the semi-final draw now. So the first team out is the winner of quarter-final one. So that's, of course, no, it's the Man United one. So Granada v Man United, and they will be coming up against, in the next semi-final, or the first semi-final at the very least, of course, Granada being the fairy tale team of the tournament so far, Man United being probably the favourites to win this tournament. They will be coming up against the winner of quarter-final 3, which will be the game between AFC Ajax and, of course, AS Roma. So Granada v Man United, or Ajax versus Roma in the next round. So I will just quickly sort that out on the screen. So that is your first semi-final on the board. It'll be a very interesting one. And our second one, we'll see home advantage to quarter-final 4, which means Zagreb or Villarreal will be the home team in that first side of the semi-final. And that will also mean that the other teams drawn out will be Slavia Prague and Arsenal, of course, depending on who wins that tie. We'll also find out in a second who is going to be given the home advantage in the final. Of course, that doesn't really matter as such because of the draw. The game actually being played away from any of the stadiums which these teams are playing in. As far as I'm aware, I think it's in Poland, in Gdansk. So there we go. Quick rundown of semi-finals. Granada v Man United versus Ajax or Roma, which should be a very interesting semi-final. And then Dinamo Zagreb or Villarreal will come up against Arsenal or Slavia Prague. So they're going to do the final draw now. In terms of the teams, we're going to go and play as the home teams. The home team will be, I think, already drawn out while I was trying to sort that out. So I'll see who the away team is. So the winner of semi-final 1 will be the away team, and semi-final 2 will be the home team. So overall, let's quickly go through it once again. Your UAL quarter-final draw, Granada taking on Manchester United. You've got Arsenal, who are going to come against Slavia Prague. You've got Ajax against AS Roma. And Dinamo Zagreb versus Villarreal. When we make it to the semi-finals, Granada or Man United will face off against Ajax or Roma. So that should be a very, very tasty semi-final section. And then, semi-final 2. If you're in that side of the bracket, get excited. Dinamo Zagreb or Villarreal versus Arsenal or Slavia Prague. First of all, Rowan, I've got to ask you, look, Arsenal, it's a tough match, another Premier League side. But the way that the draw's panned out, Slavia have got quite a nice, tasty run to the final.
Out of both of the English teams, I would have rather have Arsenal. Genuinely, it's a winnable game. I think they knocked off Leicester, they knocked off Rangers. Why not just knock out Arsenal now? They could beat them. It's always going to be a tough game, as I've said with all the others. It's doable. Are we away first?
You are away, yes.
That worries me because we don't score many goals in the first leg. Obviously, we got the one, and I feel like Slavia perform better when their away leg is last. I don't know why. I think they thrive under that pressure. So that could be a downfall, but again, they can beat Arsenal. We've got faith in them.
Absolutely. And of course, KD, when we look at your side of the draw, Granada first in the quarterfinals, but then after that, Ajax or Roma, it's probably the trickiest side of the bracket. What are you feeling?
I think this is set up, no disrespect, Rowan. I think this is set up for Manchester United Arsenal in the final. Of course, it could go horribly wrong, and it could be Slavia Prague versus Granada in the final, or Slavia Prague versus Dinamo Zagreb in the final. But I think Manchester United, it's a very favourable draw for them, of course, in this quarter-final round. But Granada not to be slept on, of course, one of the underdogs. And then Ajax and Roma, again, 2 good teams, done well to get this far, of course, can't take them for granted. But I think by far easier than the 2 sides that we've had to face already in the competition. So a favourable draw for the English side, I think.
Definitely indeed. Kieran, Ajax, looking at the draw. It's not going to be an easy one, is it? Roma in the quarterfinals, and then after that, maybe even a chance at Man United.
No, this for me is Ajax v Roma. For me, is the tie of the round. I think these 2 teams are going to match up for a very, very good a good tie. I think Roma are the more solid of the 2 teams, sort of the whole 11. Whereas I feel like Ajax have a really nice balance with some really nice attacking players. But Boya Mayoral, he's one of the top scorers in the competition. Could he exploit a possibly young and inexperienced Ajax defence? It's going to be really interesting. As you say, if they go through, Ajax v Man United, repeat of the final of a couple of years ago, that would be really tasty as well. But I think for me, my eyes on one quarter final, and it's Ajax v Roma for the most evenly matched of the lot, I think.
Yeah, and then of course the other quarter final going on. I've got to say, I don't think it's lining up for a Man U Arsenal final. I think it's lining up for a Man U Villarreal final. Zagreb v Villarreal. Look, at the end of the day, as I said before, Villarreal have probably had the easiest run of all the teams in the competition so far. They've not had to face one of the top European sides yet, realistically speaking. But to come up against Zagreb, they're going to be full of confidence and energy to get through. And of course, they've got the home advantage as well, which might work in Villarreal's favour, so they don't have to go to Croatia in the second leg, and the Croatian side have the advantage. But overall, the Spanish team, look, very organised side, very brilliant on their day. I don't think they will get as exploited as such as what Spurs did. But I think, as I said, it's panning out for a Man U Villarreal final. But looking at it overall, we'll go through each of the four boys, or three boys technically. Rowan, who are you feeling is going to be in the final? I know you've got to back Slavia.
I really wanted to go Roma Zagreb, just for, I don't know, not out of the blue, just a shot. I will go for it. Why not go a bit different? I think United are probably the most likely to go through, and for KD's sake, I hope. But I'm going to go Roma Zagreb. And I feel like Zagreb will beat Villarreal, will beat Arsenal, but then we'll lose to Zagreb. There's just something in the back of my head. Your gut feeling?
Yeah.
And then I think Roma might just sneak through. If I'm being realistic, it's probably going to be a United Arsenal final. No, go on Arsenal, United Villarreal, but I'm going with my heart. Roma Zagreb.
Interesting shout. KL, what are you feeling for the final?
Probably Man United Villarreal, but everyone's going to say it. So I'm going to go with Arsenal Ajax, just to be a little bit different.
Interesting. I like it. And then, of course, KD, look, you've got to back Man United, but who are you coming up against in that final?
I'm convinced it's... Do you know what, Rowan? I'm going for it. Slavia Prague, Man United in the final.
I mean, do you know what? If that's the final, then it's surely got to be one of the biggest watch-alongs we've ever had on the channel for a Europa League final with the two clubs that the boys support. It would be nice for the Sports Corner for that to be the final, but who knows?
Rowan, you know what's going to be really sad now? We're not going to be able to have Europa League Thursdays anymore with me and you because they're going to be on times.
Oh, they will as well. Oh, it's a sad day for all of football and all of the Sports Corner.
Well, do you know what, though? You might be meeting in the middle in the final. We'll have to see. Who knows? It'd be perfect if that was to happen. But once again, very quickly, to go over the draw, the quarterfinals, Granada taking on Manchester United, Arsenal against Slavia Prague, Ajax against Roma, and Zagreb coming up against Villarreal. And then once we get to the semi-finals, Granada or Man United will face Ajax or Roma. And then Zagreb or Villarreal will come up against Arsenal or Slavia Prague. So that is the draw for the Europa League quarter and semi-finals. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the draw. There's some interesting fixtures in there, I have to say, some very mouth-watering looking ties. But don't forget, we've got more content to come up on the channel over the next few days. In fact, we've got more content coming up tomorrow night. KL, Schalke Gladbach, how are you feeling?
Bricking it.
Absolutely bricking it. That's all you need to know. It's a tough one, this game. Schalke Gladbach, both teams in the worst form in the league so far over the last few weeks. Who's going to break that duct? Unless they draw, then neither team's breaking the duct, are they, realistically? But that is the 25 past 5 on Saturday. KL's going to be doing that stream live on the channel. It's a bit more of a quieter week with watch-alongs because we'll be then back on Sunday night. Myself and KL, Sociedad Barcelona, Lyon PSG. That's from 10 to 8 on Sunday night. Two very good games in France and Spain. And then don't forget, as always, if you haven't put your name down for the UCL FIFA Sim tournament, it's going to take place on the 26th to the 29th of March. There's 2 spaces left. If you haven't got yourself involved, there's a cash / gift card prize for the first, second, and third place. There's more opportunities to win this time in our tournament. You don't need FIFA, an Xbox, or a PlayStation. Each game is going to be Sims. Everybody's got a fair opportunity to win the money in the competition. If you do want to play it, put your name down in the comments, and you'll fill up one of the last 2 spaces left They are going very quickly indeed. If you haven't checked out as well our social media pages, then our Twitter is @_top corner and our Instagram is _sports corner_. Please do go and check those out if you haven't already, because you'll be able to see when we go live on YouTube, as well as when we post articles up on thesports-corner.com. There'll be an article up very shortly based on tonight's or this afternoon's even. There we go. It's already up. Perfectly timed Champions League and Europa League draws. You can check them out if you haven't seen who's facing who in the next round of the competition. That's on thesports-corner.com. But as for now, thank you very much to KD, KL, and Rowan, as always, for joining us on the draw.
Cheers, Josh.
Thank you very much indeed. And we'll be back tomorrow. You don't want to miss it. The Battle of the Bottlers. It's Schalke against Gladbach in the Bundesliga, 5:25. But as for now, hopefully have a fantastic morning, evening, or afternoon, wherever you are. And we hope to see you again soon.